The Statement of Acknowledgement and Honor of Indigenous and Diverse Communities. We begin this meeting with acknowledgement of and honor for the many legacies that have impacted our community, particularly those buried over time. Acknowledging truth is critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. Cheltenham Township stands within the Lenape-Konik, the ancestral homeland of the Lenni Lenape civilization. Their people were, and still are, caretakers of this land and its rivers, and their legacy continues. We pay respect to their elders past and present. Our community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in the hope of a better life. And some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together. As a school district committed to fostering intellectual curiosity and discourse in service of social justice, join us in uncovering such truths.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Next, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance by Ms. Hatch, that will be led by Ms. Hatcher. I'm sorry, the roll call. I'm just looking at public comment. Roll call.
Good evening. Ms. Gliskin,
Present.
Mr. Burdell Williams,
Present.
Mr. Epps,
Present.
Ms. Henry,
Present.
Ms. Loman, Ms. Mohan,
Present.
Ms. Murphy, Mr. Schultz, and Dr. White.
Present.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call.
So moved. Second.
Aye. Aye.
The minutes are approved. The solicitor's report will be provided by Mr. Diazio.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. Good evening, everyone. The board has not met in executive session since last month's board meeting, so there are no Sunshine Act announcements for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Diazio. We will move to our student council report. And that will be provided by Ms. Sabero.
To gather input from diverse groups across the school for feedback on improvement. And November 4th election upcoming, polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. October 20th is the last day to register to vote. And October 28th is the last day to mail in your ballot. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Sabero. Dr. Scribble will provide his superintendent's report.
So good evening, Board of Directors, to our community at large. I, as always, have prepared a presentation, which is on the screen, but prior to getting into the formal presentation, I would be remiss if I did not address a couple of outstanding issues. First and foremost, wanted to give some clarity around the procedures with respect to communications. When a communication goes out to a specific school versus when a communication goes out district-wide. So we had a situation which we had a student, former student, who is all known to us, that we've supported, that graduated last year, got on one of our school buses and was able to enter our high school and subsequently pulled the fire alarm. Our principal, our safety team followed their protocol. The young man had left the building right after pulling the alarm and was secured by local police per us making them aware of the situation. Later on, communication went out. Dr. Hammond, who was the principal at the high school, and it only went out to the high school community. As the investigation continued, and the fact that we do have a fluid partnership with our police department, it was brought to our attention that the young man did also have a replica gun in his possession in a book bag, which he had. At no time when he was on school grounds was that taken out. We were unaware until the police brought it to our attention. Subsequently, we felt the need to update the high school community once again, and a second communication went out from Dr. Hammond, which gave that update. I have received some emails from parents who were concerned that a district-wide communication did not go out. The precedence has been that if a communication comes out from me as superintendent, I do send that communication to the entire district. What I will do, and I mentioned this to the board in our pre-conversation prior to this meeting, that we will revisit and we will have a deeper conversation as to whether or not they feel that precedent should change and when a communication should come out from me versus coming out from one of our building principals. There was also another situation which happened prior to the student entering our high school, where we had an unhoused person that was found in the morning in one of our offices that had entered the building through an unsecured door. That communication did not go out community-wide, but we did send a correspondence out to the administrative staff themselves. One, for a level of awareness, and two, we wanted to make sure that all windows within this building are able to physically be secured. We identified that there were 9 that were not, and subsequently have repaired them. And just like any of our schoolhouses, we encourage individuals not to prop doors open. And that is the same practice that we need to follow here at our central office. We are working on continued dialogue with how we strengthen our safety protocols. This is a collaborative conversation. There are immediate next steps that have already occurred where we have doubled our manpower at the high school. We're working in collaboration with the transportation team, and it's unique because transportation is a subcontractor under the district. So we work in partnership with transportation and have stressed the importance of having a protocol which is followed where students either through ID or the roster on the buses are checked prior to getting on the buses. There is still work that needs to be done, and this will be ongoing work. in effort of continuous improvement. I will send updates at the appropriate time in terms of where we are with this work. But I did want to address the immediate community, and I know that there are some that will bring comment later today, and I thank them for making me aware. The gate at Myers that was referenced is being addressed. Mr. Carter is sitting over there right now. And I smile lightly, not that this is not serious, but when I really look at our district as a whole, we are diligent in making sure that providing a safe and orderly environment is truly paramount. And these situations are not a reflection of the day-to-day lived experience that our students have. We truly, and I smile because Myers is one of our strongest elementaries from a standpoint of just a solid holistic program. And if the gate is the worst that I'm doing right now, then I'll take that, but I will address that. Just like any other concerns that community members have, we don't take them lightly. They're taken under consideration. They are shared with the board, and then we act upon them with the due diligence that they warrant. So that brings closure just with that statement, and I wanted to put that out publicly since this is a public meeting. Now I want to shift to another priority, which is also a major priority, and that is the 2025-2026 superintendent goals for this year. We have a process where we have a subcommittee of board members who work collaboratively with me in reviewing, rendering feedback, and finalizing the goals of the superintendent. Tonight, those goals will be approved by the board, and it's something that is at the core of what drives us as a district. Our mission and our vision are something that we take extremely serious, and it really grounds us in everything that we do from a foundational standpoint. You can really paraphrase it in terms of belong, engage, and seek justice. That is the essence of who we are. I want to just mention a small caveat that there is a communication that will be coming out to the community at large around one of our strategic plan pillars, Portrait of a Graduate, and that we'll be having a November 1st session because we're seeking stakeholder feedback in terms of helping us to define what a graduating senior should look like as they've matriculated K through 12 or wherever their entry point was in the district. So I would encourage those who are able to come out and have a voice and be part of that process as we are working this year on finalizing the Portrait of a Graduate. My first goal is one that really is the driving force of everything, and that's operations, finance, management, and strategic planning. We're continuously working on a master plan, and most of you are aware that we have a couple major projects that are going on right now under capital improvement. One is the finalization of our stadium up at the high school. You know that we've gone through a reconfiguration of our grades in terms of how students matriculate through, and that Elkins Park has been officially closed here within the district, and that our 5th grade has pushed down into what was the K through 4 model, which is now K through 5 model. We have a standalone in terms of CB East at the mods located where Elkins Park campus currently exists. And we have a 7th, 8th, and 8th grade at the middle school. Construction will start at the middle school in terms of doing a 14-room addition, which will accommodate our sixth graders who are currently at CB East at the Mods. We are also doing addition at Glenside Elementary in terms of just being forward thinkers around programmatic changes and additions that we may need to make around down the road. We're limited on space. Our enrollment study does show that we're pretty stagnant right now, but we do need the flexibility to be able to branch out if needed. When we start our 2007 school year, CB East will be no longer, and that will be a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade model at the middle school. We will still have our 4 K through 5, and then we will have the traditional high school, which has always been 9 through 12. Additionally, something which is very important because I never know what tomorrow may bring is the standard operating procedures. That's something that I've talked about for years. It's important that regardless of who's sitting in my chair, there needs to be a blueprint of how the day-to-day work happens within the district. So we are memorializing what those standard operating procedures are by our major offices, which is the Office of Education, our business office, which includes HR, facilities and maintenance, and also, I'm missing one. Help me out, Josh. Transportation, but there's one other office that I'm missing, food services. I think that may hit them all. If Dr. Savage is not with us next year, what are the daily standard operating procedures that drive us? If Mrs. Swigert is not here next year, what are the standard operating procedures which drive our day-to-day work? That is a major goal that we have to have in place so that the work is sustainable and that we have a blueprint. Additionally, this is the 3rd year of implementation of the strategic plan. So while we're implementing this year's strategic plan, we're also going to have to revisit what the next strategic plan is going to look like, which will remain on a 3-year cycle as well. So those are the moving pieces that will speak to the work under Goal 1 this year. Goal 2 is something which is paramount because it really speaks to outcomes. We recognize that we have been stagnant in certain areas as it relates to the Future Ready Index. We've initiated some major initiatives under the Continuous School Improvement Plan. We are full swing with the implementation of our MTSS process, which is just our multi-tiered student supports initiatives. We have incorporated an instructional framework, and we are going through the process of taking administrators through instructional rounds where we are visiting buildings and norming the best practices that we are seeing in the classrooms of our teachers, really in an effort to break down the siloed approach that we are seeing within the district and being able to take those best practices that in some cases we're seeing in isolation and expanding that so we have consistency regardless of what building a student may be in. A lot of that work is grounded in the Danielson framework, which is research-based and something that's been around for quite some time. So we're hoping that through having a more systemic process throughout district, that will transfer to greater student outcomes. In addition to just the alignment of the high quality instructional materials that we're continuing to purchase to drive our curriculum, our scope and sequences of the curriculum, and giving teachers a solid resource in which to base their work. The third goal kind of spoke to what I started this conversation around, which was around culture and climate. And our schools, I have to give them all a shout out on the work they've been doing around MTSS, PBIS. If you go into any of our schools, you can get a true sense of the culture and climate of the schools. It's in every hallway, it's in every classroom, what the school stands for, what they value. Students are clear with the expectations, and teachers play a critical role in really moving that forward. I want to reiterate that we recognize that post-COVID, the mental health component is something that is still very real, even in our district. And we are providing multiple wraparound services that we really are focusing on to make sure that all of our students' needs are being met regardless of where they are. The MTSS process is just so critical because it is when we get to look at the early warning indicators of our students, whether it be attendance, switch referrals, which relates to behavior, or the academic data. And it allows us to tier our interventions to give each and every student the wraparound services on which they need. 3 years ago, we did not even have an MTSS framework. So there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of positives that we're incorporating. I understand that we are nowhere near where we aspire to be, but we are being very intentional through our strategic plan and the action steps that we are taking to make sure that we get there. So I will wrap up there with my report. I thank you for your attention, and I look forward to giving you continuous updates as we move through the process. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Scriven. And I just want to note that the expectation is both Dr. Savage and Mr. Swigart will be here next year. But we know that things can happen. People may need to take leave or something like that, and we have the support that we need. So just wanted to note that. We will move on to our committee reports, beginning with the Financial Affairs report, which I will provide. The Financial Affairs Committee met on Tuesday, November 7th. The presentation provided a comprehensive update on the district's current financial position, upcoming debt initiatives, and budget development process for the 2026-2027 fiscal school year. The topics that were discussed were the interim financial statements, debt issuance for Glenside and Cedarbrook projects, Act 1 index, budget process timeline, and board action item for tonight is the approval of the bond parameter resolution for the Glenside and Cedarbrook additions. The key points from that committee meeting were the interim financial stability, which our interim reports indicate the district continues to maintain structural balance supported by steady revenue collection and responsible fund balance management. Capital projects financing, the board received a presentation from PFM Financial Advisors on a borrowing plan to fund the Glenside and Cedarbrook building additions. The bond parameter resolution is on the agenda for board approval tonight. This will authorize the administration to proceed with securing the necessary financing while managing our long-term debt. The budget development timeline. This process begins in November each year, and the preliminary budget will be approved in February of 2026. The final budget approval will occur in June 2026, ensuring compliance with our Act 1 deadlines. In closing, the meeting emphasized fiscal responsibility, proactive planning for facility investments, and made a clear and transparent budgeting process aligned with Cheltenham's mission to ensure equity, excellence, and sustainability in our financial stewardship. The next hybrid financial affairs meeting will be held on Wednesday, November 5th. Note that it is the day after. We're not having it on Tuesday as we normally would because of the election, at 7 p.m. in the administration building and via Zoom. And that concludes my report. And now we will move to educational affairs report that will be provided by Ms. Murphy.
Good evening. The Educational Affairs meeting occurred on September 16th, 2025 at 7 p.m. here in the Administration Building. The meeting agenda included the following. First, Dr. Savage presented the meeting schedule and presentation topics for the 2025-2026 school year. The schedule is structured so feedback from stakeholders can be incorporated. Secondly, Dr. Savage presented the instructional framework and the district's assessment philosophy. It is our common language and understanding of what effective teaching and learning looks like and sounds like in our schools. Our instruction is student-centered and consistent and utilizes research and evidence-based instructional strategies, resources, materials, and best practices. Lastly, Ms. Charlene Collins, Director of School Services, presented on titles 1 through 4. She explained our budget allocation for each with planned expenditures. The federal program funding sources are described as Title I, improving the academic achievement of the disadvantaged. Title II, preparing, training, and recruiting high-quality teachers and principals. Title III, language instruction for English learners and immigrant students. And Title IV, student support and academic enrichment. The next Educational Affairs meeting is scheduled for October 21st, both in person and online, and this completes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Mr. Riddell Williams will provide the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology update.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. The Eastern Center for Arts and Technology Joint Operating Committee met on Wednesday, October 8th in person. After the approval of a number of items in academic affairs and finance, facilities, personnel, we then got our favorite part of the meeting, which if you're paying attention to any of the Cheltenham news blasts that Mr. Kaufman is sending out multiple times, days and weeks, that Miss Amira Banks at Cheltenham High School senior is the October 2025 Student of the Month at Eastern Center for Arts and Technology. She has previously been noted as also for her track achievements as well with the Cheltenham High School track and field team. But relative to her experience at Eastern, Amira has had a passion for sports since the age of 6, participating in track, volleyball, and soccer. As a dedicated athlete, competing in varsity track and field for Cheltenham High School and participating in club track and field, she gained a deep understanding of the vital role that physical therapy plays in helping athletes recover and reach their peak. With aspirations of becoming a doctor of physical therapy, Amira attended Eastern's open house after learning about the exercise science and rehabilitation program. She found the program to be a strong fit for her interests and a valuable opportunity. At Cheltenham High School, she is a part of in addition to being a decorated track athlete, she's part of the Black Scholars Program, as well as DECA, which is the Distributive Education Clubs of America program, which helps students develop business skills and leadership qualities. After graduating from Eastern and Cheltenham High School, Amira plans to attend the University of Delaware to pursue a 6-year Doctor of Physical Therapy program. She hopes to work with athletes in both clinical settings and sports environments with a specific interest on helping younger athletes reach their potential. I love being able to share those updates about our students, but I also want to just take the moment to acknowledge that, again, in reference to the role that career and technical education facilities play in the educational experience, is not one that I think I may have showed up with as a board member 6 or so years ago, where vocational school or VOTEC was like an alternate means of education for students who maybe didn't have a route in life. Actually, the role of CTE is exactly the opposite. It is to help a student find their role in life, right? Is a specific program or area of interest for me. And I'm really excited not just to hear about students who are, high achievers, but students who are getting the best out of their program and able to move on and do awesome things in their lives based on their experience there, where they have been exposed to a different form of learning, but one that has supported them in their overall growth and development. So always happy to share that. Two key items that I did also want to share for the board and community. First, the September 30th enrollment numbers at Eastern. There was approximately 674 students enrolled at Eastern and 69 on a wait list. If anyone has listened to any of my prior public comment or prior comments, you will know and understand that the existence of a wait list at career and technical education schools is a problem across the state. It's very difficult for students to get in. The programs are high demand. And in some cases, there's an opportunity for a student to get a second or third choice, but not always the case. To that regard, the previous update related to Eastern's new move to start their new construction management program was intended or is intended to alleviate the wait list for students. And based on the enrollment numbers in the current wait list, HVAC with 18 students on their wait list and electrical technology with 17 students on their wait list are two of the programs that are specifically targeted by Eastern's new program. So those students are expected to have an opportunity at Eastern starting in the 26-27 school year, where they would not have had that opportunity this year. So very excited that Eastern has decided to move in that direction and excited for the support of the board and community, and looking forward to more of that because we want to be able to provide our students with as many of an opportunity as they can. Secondly, we did get a update on the first part of the budget process at Eastern for the board and the community. Just to repeat, Eastern's budget cycle is different from that of the school district. So this board should expect to see a budget in either the November or December board meetings that we will then have an opportunity to vote on and then approve. And then that will pass on to the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology Joint Operating Committee in order to pass that before January 1st. So look out for that, board members. And that concludes my report. Oh, sorry, I would be remiss if I did not mention the next meeting. The next meeting of the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology is on November 12th, which is a Wednesday. That meeting is going to be in person at Eastern's facility on Turwood Road in Upper Moreland. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burdell Williams. Ms. Loman will provide the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit update.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. The Montgomery County Intermediate Unit Board met on Wednesday, September 24th, 2025 at 6:45 p.m. in person and at the MCIU's main offices in Norristown and over Zoom. I'm going to just mention two things from that meeting, which was a very, very long meeting. The length of the meeting really was due to a very long board discussion on the proposed changes to MCIU board policy 005, which is about board organization. The proposed policy changes would eliminate the annual appointment of standing committees for the MCIU board. However, the creation of board committees at the MCIU has not occurred for several years. So there was a very long discussion about whether or not we needed standing committees, what the purpose of them would be, and whether or not we would be better served if we just did it ad hoc. So that didn't really get resolved, and I'm sure we will be picking up that discussion again, but it raised some interesting issues about what the board's role is actually at the MCIU. And is it similar to a school board's role or should it be different? And I think that was actually an important part of the discussion. So the other kind of more substantive part of the meeting that I just want to mention too is the board received a presentation from the MCIU's early intervention team about something called their Rapid Response Team, RRT. The RRT is designed to work with early childhood centers in Montgomery County to prevent expulsion of preschoolers. Yes, you heard that right, expulsion of preschoolers, which is a nationwide problem. Preschoolers are expelled at a rate 3.5 times greater than K-12 students. And male preschoolers are expelled at an even higher rate. I think they're expelled at a four times higher rate. And certainly children of color, boys of color too. So this is a tremendous issue, obviously, for families, not only in Montgomery County, but around the country. because it obviously impacts then parents' jobs and it makes it difficult to find other childcare once your child's been expelled from a preschool. So this rapid response team was established with a grant from the state. And that money from the state actually flowed from a federal government grant that the state had received. More on that in a second. But the rapid response team at the IU provides short-term assistance to childcare centers and preschools in Montgomery County to help manage challenging behaviors and help prevent suspension or expulsion of preschoolers. Referrals are made by preschools in cooperation with the child's parent and guardian. And the way the team works is they go and they do an initial classroom observation to identify the behavioral triggers. They interview the parents and the school staff. They create a detailed report outlining individualized strategies for addressing behaviors. This is probably the most important part, it sounds like, they do in-school training for teachers and administrators at the preschool. Many of whom have then said, we have never, ever received any type of training like that to address young children's behavior. They consult with parents to support consistent strategies at home, and they provide ongoing in-classroom coaching and modeling to ensure strategies and protocols are being implemented with fidelity. The grant that the IU received from the state to do this work was $200,000 for the first year and $275,000 for the school year, second year. However, that second year is being ended in December because of the cuts from DOGE. So this, and then this matters in part because the impact of this program has been tremendous on preventing expulsion of preschoolers. Of the 49, there were 50 referrals to this rapid response team between July 2024 and July 2025. 49 out of the 50 children referred for support maintained their placements at that preschool after the intervention and the guidance from the rapid response team. So we also had a long discussion about how we could possibly fundraise to keep this rather important program going. Given that in the grand scheme of things, $200,000 to $275,000 is not a tremendous amount of money for a large program like the MCIU. How could we continue to support this work? So we had, the board had a long discussion about kind of what we could do to help move this forward. It's a very interesting program and very necessary. The only other thing I wanted to mention about the meeting was there was another brief discussion. I had mentioned this before about the $15 million revenue anticipation note that the MCIU has had to take out because of the federal funding and the state funding that they have not been receiving, primarily the state funding because of the state budget impasse. The IU has anticipated that this money will carry the IU, cover its costs until January, should the state budget not yet be passed. The next MCIU board meeting will be held on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:45 in person at the MCIU's main office in Norristown and also over Zoom. There is no MCIU board meeting in October. This ends my report.
Thank you, Ms. Loman. Ms. Blitzstein will provide the facilities committee meeting update.
Thank you. The Facilities Committee meeting was last held on October 7th, 2025, here at the admin building and on Zoom. Following roll call and approval of minutes, the following agenda items were discussed. First, we received a high school stadium project update and found out that the home side bleachers have been installed along with the press box. In the field, the drain system has been installed and the turf will be laid soon. The stadium retaining wall on the 309 side of the field is complete and building of the concession stands have begun. The construction of the gatehouse has begun and the track and field event space is in progress. The original plan was to ship existing dirt off-site that needed to be removed, but we were able to save a significant amount of money and also level out the track and field space by moving it and utilizing it on site. There is currently a 6-lane blueprint on the track, as one of the final steps of the process is extending the track to make for 8 lanes, which will happen. The visitors side bleachers have begun installation as of the 7th of October. We received an update also on the high school roof repair. We've made our first payment and are currently applying for reimbursement from the state as it's being paid for mostly via state grant. Glensides and Cedarbrook projects are still in their infancy. Cedarbrook was bid on Monday. The project needs to be open for bids for a minimum of 3 weeks. Bids close on November 11th, and then the result of bids will be revealed on Tuesday, December 9th. Around the district, we are installing new LED lighting at Cedarbrook East. And a temporary generator has been set up for Glenside Elementary so that the current generator can be repaired, not replaced. The necessary part will come in the next 3 to 4 weeks, and then the repair process will begin. The generator being repaired serves Glenside and IT backup for the whole district, so it's pretty important and essential. And the temporary generator will ensure that no service will be disrupted during the repair. There are no facilities items listed on the consent agenda for approval tonight. The full presentation of the October 7th meeting may be found on the district's website homepage by clicking on Departments, then Facilities and Maintenance, and then the Presentations link. Please note that next month's hybrid meeting will not be held as usual on Tuesday, but due to Election Day, it will be held on Wednesday, November 5th, 2025, both in the admin building and on Zoom beginning at 7 p.m. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Blitzing. Ms. Morgan will provide an update from the liaison group.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. The members of the school district administration, school board, township administration, and commissioners met virtually on Monday, September 15th at 8 a.m. Items discussed included updates from the school district on our capital projects, like the stadium, Cedarbrook, Glenside additions. The township shared some updates on their 250th celebration planning, including some work on township history, their tree donation program, which includes memorial trees that you can purchase to be planted around the township, and the Flight Light Workday, which was on October 4th to great success. We also discussed Cheltenham Elementary traffic concerns. Speed cushions went in, I believe, over the Rosh Hashanah break. And we discussed bus patrol. An item to highlight there is that there has been a reduction in the tickets that have been given, and some of that, or much of that, is due to changes in bus routes. So thanks to collaboration to everyone to address some of those trouble routes to improve the safety for our students. Upcoming road closures due to ongoing construction. The school district and transportation have been in contact with the project manager for that project. And if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow is the first day of the new traffic patterns on Church Road and Greenwood Avenue. Communication has gone out from the district to families just to keep everyone in the loop there. We also discussed the Elkins Park School property, just in terms of what it might look like in the future, and seeing as we are still using the property very actively for the next 2 years, no plans have been made going forward yet. We also discussed just a quick update, the Melrose Park Country Club property. The work there is moving along quickly. And that, I think, wraps up. We had some announcements, but all of those items have since passed, so I will not share them. We will next meet on Monday, November 17th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Mulhern. Ms. Lovely will provide a policy committee update.
Thank you. The policy committee meeting did not meet in September and will not be meeting in October. The next policy committee meeting will be on Wednesday, November 12th at 7 p.m. at the administration building. This is Byron.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. Mr. Epp will provide a update on the legislative item.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, members of the community and administration. I want to share that Pennsylvania is actually the only state in the nation to, and I'm going to come back to that in a second. Sorry for the suspense. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. But in the legislative committee this past month, we did reconvene in October 6th. And we heard from Christopher Dorman, who talked about the superintendent, some of the advocacy moments for the superintendents this upcoming session, but also what might be some topics the legislator is focused on. Part of that was some flexibility around teacher certifications, structured conversations around structured literacy, And another term where cyber charter reform, specifically around special education tuition, and overall tuition caps, will be discussed and hopefully resolved, but certainly is still a topic of conversation. So those are some of the topics that we can expect to hear about and advocate on behalf of throughout the legislative term. Ideally, those will not become unfunded mandates that say that school district must do more, but without more resources. And so that is something that the PSBA, the School Board Association, also the Superintendent Association, has been focused on in terms of advocacy. If there are mandates, ensure that they are funded mandates as opposed to things that will cause the district to incur more costs. I was encouraged to hear from students around the voter registration highlighting drive. Awesome, very awesome. Also, there's 11 districts in the county. I'm not sure if we were one of them last time I checked. We weren't. But Voices for Education is a program that that really empowers, creates space for students to design and advocate for solutions that are to problems in our county. And so that is something that is open to Voices for Education. You can Google it. There's a website. It does involve teacher participation to an extent, but it is an opportunity that culminates with a trip to Harrisburg, where students meet with legislators, again, as a way to encourage the voices of those who have the lived experience at levels where decisions are being made. So students, if you're interested, tell your teachers. There will need to be one sponsoring teacher, but again, that's a conversation that can happen at the school level around Voices for Education. And so that brings me back. We heard about some topics that might be unfunded mandates. We heard about some opportunities. And unfortunately, we even heard about some opportunities that, because of conversations at the national level, unfortunately, are at risk. And so that brings me back to my first one. Pennsylvania is the only state in the nation to not have an approved budget. It's not a distinction that I want to say or that we hold proudly, but it is the truth. And so that has implications. We've heard about it, implications at a program level. It has implications for our revenue and how we project to receive or how much we project to receive as a school district. And so it is a huge conversation that also impacts other areas of our life, right? We heard about transportation, energy, and the Pennsylvania economy and job creation. And so those are really the big topics of not just how much money is spent, but it really tells you a budget tells you what you prioritize. And education is something that we know is not being adequately funded according to the Constitution. That's not my opinion. That's the opinion of the Supreme Court. And so this is the second year that we have gone where the Supreme Court's decision has not been fully followed. And so again, these conversations largely happened in closed settings. And we had an advocacy moment where I asked one of the people who's in the room directly, what are ways that we can improve transparency in the budget system? And unfortunately, the answer was, it's fine. And so that's an advocacy point in and of itself, right? It's not okay for this to be such a closed door process. And so that's a moment for advocacy for parents, for students, anyone to just say, hey, we need to know a little more about what's happening between an approved budget and proposed. So again, the discussions are ongoing. The deadline technically was in June to pass a budget. And we've heard reports that we may even get to December before it actually becomes approved. So again, that is something that we want to track. We want to make our voices heard around, but also something that's not going to end because our next budget process starts very soon. So I will pause my report there for tonight. There's certainly a couple advocacy moments for us as a community and also some ways where students can continue to step up and be involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Epps. We will move on to our approval of agenda items, starting with the bond parameters resolution. The administration recommends that the Board of School Directors adopt the resolution as presented, authorizing the issuance of the general obligation bonds in the maximum principal amount of $50 million on a parameters basis and related action to refinance the school district series of 2019 bonds and to make capital improvements as presented. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved, Dan Schultz.
Second.
Mr. Verdell Williams. We will take the vote by roll call. I'm sorry. You're right. I should open it up to comments from the board. Mr. Schultz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to comment on this and frame it in the context of a years-long conversation that this district has been having with a huge amount, an impressive amount of transparency and community involvement. So this bond issuance is related to the capital planning that we've held multiple surveys about, a hearing about, and received a lot of public comment and frankly, ultimately public support for this project. So I, A, wanted to contextualize it, and B, wanted to clarify this isn't in addition to those plans. This is part of those plans related to the closure of EP, the construction of additions to support our 5th and 6th grades in other buildings, and ultimately the other aspects of that plan, such as HVAC at the high school. So thank you again to administration and to our community for being so involved in an effective plan to meet the needs of our students.
Mr. Travis?
Thanks. I wanted you to first, I knew you had some context setting, which I appreciated. I want to add, again, the why is so important here. And so when you see this $50 million, it's not new. We've heard over the last 2 years about what these funds are intended to do. I wanted to add another piece of context around when you look at this $50 million, it doesn't mean we're actually going to go borrow $50 million tomorrow. There's actually a plan to say this is the maximum amount that we will borrow, but it doesn't actually lock us into that. And so as we move forward, I actually appreciate that we have some flexibility to make decisions that are best and at the best time in terms of interest rates, right? And really, which positions us to be able to understand what we need to pay back and on what schedule we need to pay back. And so this is actually a fiscally responsible path forward to fund what we know needs to be funded in terms of capital improvements and how those capital improvements enrich the student experience. And so it's very clear where this through line from where the 50 million, well, again, what we approved the maximum principal amount, where that actually keys into improving student experience. So I wanted to add that context as we go.
Thank you. Any other board members? Okay, now we will take the roll call for the vote.
Mrs. Felicity,
Aye.
Mr. Verdell Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Ash,
Aye.
Ms. Henry,
Aye.
Ms. Loney,
Aye.
Ms. Moore,
Aye.
Ms. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Schultz,
Aye.
Mr. White.
Aye.
The roll call.
That concludes the roll call, and the motion is approved. Next, we will go on to the approval of agenda items on the consent agenda as listed in the agenda. And I have a motion to approve.
So moved, Dr. Whiting.
Second, Mia Blitzstein.
I'd like to open it up for public comments. And before you go, Mr. Verdell Williams, I would like to make a note that the superintendent goals will not be approved tonight. They will be on the November agenda. Mr. Verdell Williams?
Yep, as customary, just want to provide some positive energy to the volunteers who have gone through the exhaustive process of getting approved. If you're like me and you were not born in the state of Pennsylvania, you have to do a little bit more and value again the folks who've gone through that maybe more than once to ensure that they can help out at more than one school, at more than one class, and more than one time, and recognize the importance, again, following the pandemic, where our relationships inside of the building and interactions with the community were relatively limited. I'm happy that we're returning more and more to this current very community-oriented experience for our students. So thank you to these folks on the agenda today, but also to everybody who's gone through the process. And a quick plug, go ahead and start now if you want to get ready for the spring field trips that are all coming up for many of your children. Right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pradell Williams. Ms. Blitzstein?
Yes, I also wanted to note the very many teachers and staff members that will be participating in professional development. And I think that I don't know that I've ever seen a consent agenda with so many people going to learn more things about their specialties and it just makes me really happy to see people who want to take time and deepen their understanding about what they're teaching and their roles. So I really appreciate all of the staff members who are taking that on and our administration for making that a priority.
Thank you, Ms. Blitzstein. Dr. Whiting?
Following, I want to piggyback on what Ms. Blitzstein said. I was going to highlight this exact same thing because it's so incredibly impressive. 57 individual approvals. As an educational researcher, I want to say that this is the way that we get our research into the hands of the people who are doing work in classrooms and schools. These conferences allow us to disseminate information to these groups of people that we would otherwise be unable to do. And so thank you, Ms. Blitzstein, for pointing that out. And I just wanted to say thank you to the administration. Thank you also to the individual teachers as well who are engaging in this work.
Thank you, Dr. Whiting. Ms. Mulhern?
Thank you, Ms. Henry. I just wanted to quickly highlight both Mr. Anthony Carter and Mr. William Little, who are both here tonight. Their roles changing from interim to permanent in their positions as our Director of Facilities and our Assistant Director of Facilities. So thank you and continued welcome. And secondly, I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk about Mary Chinta, a paraeducator at Winfield Elementary, known to, I think, most of us as Miss Mary. Miss Mary was there the whole 10 years my kids were at Winfield and was always a smiling, calming presence. Whether she was in the cafeteria working with students or quickly watering the plants in the office as she buzzed around doing all the kinds of things that a paraeducator does. She will be missed, and I wish her some relaxation in her future.
Anyone else? All right, Mr. Epps?
Last comment. for
That's
tonight.
okay.
Definitely second, third, fourth to the conferences. We have a principal here tonight. There might be some more principals listening. If you walked in the building, you saw all of their wonderful faces and smiles. Didn't want to say, and I know superintendent and admin, you're taking care of the principals, but I did want to say thank you to principals in this October, right? We often hear about them, hear about the, in different ways, but it's sometimes a role that goes underlooked, to be honest. And so I definitely appreciate how it really links admin to teachers when we talk about the changes that are happening. Principals are really the linchpin in making sure those efforts are getting done. So I do appreciate the love and support and coaching and everything that they provide in our schools. Last but not least, if anyone is a minority or woman business owner, or if you know someone who's a business owner, you just heard we have up to like $30 to $40 million of contracts that we're going to be coming up very soon. The school district does business, and so we have a policy that we want to engage minority and women business owners in all that we do. So anyone within listening here, if you are a business owner, if you know a business owner, we have a business manager who will talk with you and help you to understand how to work with the district. And there's many ways to do that. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say that as we are approving really bond issuances and thinking about doing business. So thank you.
Mr. Epps, thank you for acknowledging our principals. They do a great job here, so big applause to them. Okay, so we will move to the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The consent agenda is approved. Okay, so the next item on the agenda are public comments. And so if you are in the audience, you can approach the podium. Please state your name and where you reside in the district. And comments are limited to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Greetings, board, president, superintendent, members of the board, community members. I am Aubrey Nance. I live in Elkins Park. I am a member of the Cheltenham community. I live in Elkins Park, Cheltenham. And I play a lot of roles. I sit on a lot of the boards. I'm an extremely active parent, but most importantly, I'm a parent in the school district. And the reason why I decided and chose Cheltenham School District is because of the wonderfully talented and supportive staff, teachers, administrators, board. I have always admired, and it's the reason why I decided to choose Cheltenham. However, the security issue that took place last week at the high school is inexcusable. And again, I said a lot of places, I have a lot of degrees. I'm not going to go through that. What I want to do is tell you a story. 4 weeks ago, my 15-year-old, who was a junior at a sophomore at the high school, she suffers with a mental illness, anxiety, and she had an extreme panic attack because her phone died and we couldn't get it to charge. And I said, babe, you can call from the landlines, your teacher, your friends, have a phone. You can call us. You don't need your phone today. It's okay. But she shut down and had a complete panic attack. And as I was trying to get her to calm down and try to kind of give her some rational advice of how she could, make phone calls and do some of the problem solving, right? She said one thing that struck me to my core. She said, Mom, I'm not safe at school. I need my phone because I'm not safe. I don't feel safe at school. It took me probably about an hour and a half to finally get her to school. And that only happened because my 13-year-old who's at Cedarbrook Middle School allowed her sister to take her phone for the day. Her counselor, again, the staff and support staff, amazing, brought her into school, able to calm her down, made sure she had support throughout the day. And that was great. That was 4 weeks ago. On Thursday of last week, I had her dual IEP meeting. And again, fabulous support from Wincote up to EP. All of the administrators have been very supportive. And in that, I wanted to address one thing. I said, 4 weeks ago, she was really panicking about not having her phone, and again, she suffers with an anxiety disorder. Can we try to work with her to try to, different ways to cope with her anxiety? And I said that in her IEP meeting, and I, trying to put it in there and put some goals, because again, the staff have done amazing things all through my experience here in the district. And then last week happened. And Wednesday, we got a blast to the parents of the high schoolers. Someone's in the building, we, police, all those things, pulled the fire alarm. Okay. And then on Friday, we got another communication follow-up to the high school parents. We got communication. Now we know, blah, 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 he was apprehended, all those things. Okay. Saturday morning, as I was interacting with my kids and we were doing something, my 15-year-old who suffers with severe anxiety starts to cry and hyperventilate. And I'm like, baby, what's going on? And again, I've dealt with her entire life, and I'm patting her and I'm calming her and I'm soothing her. She said, Mom, I am not safe at school. And she showed me the video of what actually was going down, that there was an intruder, there was a transgressor in the school, pulled the fire alarm, had a gun, which later found out it was replicated, all those things. She found out that information on the news. The communication not only didn't go out to all of the district parents, it didn't go out to the students, it didn't go out to the staff. And it took me and my husband and my 13-year-old almost 2 hours to calm my child down. We had to pull over at a KFC and get a bag so she could breathe. We had to physically pull her out of the car so she could get air so she could breathe. She said, "Mom, this is what I'm saying. I am not safe at school." And then she said something and she articulated it very clearly. What is the priority? What is the priority? I am ecstatic. I love this school district. I go hard for this school district. I love you all. I know some of you personally, and you know me. I've been in the community. I've been, there, and I'm here, and I support you. Principals, amazing. Administrators, superintendent, amazing. You guys are fabulous. But what is our priority? My degrees, one of them, my solid degree, my bachelor's degree is in psychology, and one of the first after Freud, Maslow. And he talked about the hierarchy of needs. And that first line is a need for safety. We cannot address the needs of our special ed students, our athletes, our student performers, our VOTEC, our careers. We cannot address any of those things if our students do not feel safe in their schools. I have 3 minutes. I know. I apologize.
Wait, okay, so, because we need to give other people a chance.
We'll stop now.
Wait, but what I want to say is, Mr. Kaufman will take your information. And
No worries. I just want to make sure, our students.
I want to know that we've heard you.
I know that I'm heard, and I know that I'm heard, but I just want to make sure that people know I'm not talking as an official. I am talking as a parent. Nothing's more important than the safety of our students. Our students are scholars. They are not targets. We need to make sure they're safe, period. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jordan Miller. I'm a parent of a student at Myers. You said the gate is the worst that you're doing at Myers, and I'm here to tell you that I'm homeschooling my 3rd grade son because he also doesn't feel safe at school. And I can tell you when that changed, August 6th, when his pediatrician asked him if he feels safe in his school, and he said no. And I had to make decisions as a parent that I don't want to have to make. But I made it, and I'm able to, and I'm fortunate that I'm able to do this for my son. But the students don't feel safe. You think that the gate is the worst that you're doing, but you have parents here telling you that the students don't feel safe. And I'm submitting a list of questions that I feel like the public has. Dr. Scriven, that we have a response, you have a responsibility to answer to the community, which is, I'm not going to waste my 3 minutes. I will email them, but it is about what are we doing on a daily basis to make sure that gates are locked, that we are doing a perimeter check, because if we have policies, but they're not enforced or checked on a daily basis, the policies don't matter. They don't matter if they're not checked up on, if there's not a routine, if there is not a procedure. And it was failed last Friday, again, notified through the news. And it was really disappointing in the district overall. And yeah, that's what I have to say.
So, to Ms. Miller and to the other parent, and you can keep coming up, you can come to the DS. What I would say is that there's a process, right? And when you have issues, when you feel your child is not safe, and I don't know what process you took, either of you, the principal definitely has to be a part of that. And if you don't get resolved at the principal level, you can definitely bring it to my level. I'm just gonna say this, I've not heard from either family that's spoken thus far until this evening. And I'm encouraging you, and Mr. Kaufman will get your information, Ms. Miller, I do have your information. I will be following up. I'm a product of the district. I say that all the time. I take this personally, right? And I will actually see all of you this evening prior to you leaving. But I just want you to know that I can't address what I don't know. And I'll only speak within the context of what I have. Okay.
Hi there. I am a parent who has reached out to you directly. I will, yeah. I just want to note that I'm a parent that has reached out over the past 2 years. My name is Alyssa Q. I live in Glenside. I have a kindergartner and a third grader at Glenside Elementary. I'm very emotional, and you will find out why in a moment. My husband and I specifically moved here. Thank you. To ensure our kids received a good education and a diverse and safe public school system. Like many parents in the district, I made an assumption that the school district had security measures in place and a strong understanding of what is needed to protect kids in this country from gun violence. In the last couple years, after many mass shootings, not just in schools, but in elementary schools, I have repeatedly reached out requesting more information on how our school specifically would handle a scenario like this. Additionally, knowing my children are getting older and more curious, I have asked for resources about age-appropriate ways just to communicate to them about these events so that I know how to respond to their questions in a way that does not make them afraid and is in line with how the school addresses it. While our principal has been proactive about arranging school-wide meetings to address the topic following my requests, it's now 2 years later, and I have not left any of these meetings with adequate information or a sense of confidence about our school's readiness. To address these concerns, the district safety manager was invited to the PAWS meeting last year in September 2024. I assumed to alleviate any fears, and instead he started his time by stating that the media sensationalizes mass shootings, when in fact data around mass shootings shows otherwise. He then spoke at a very high level about lockdown procedures and policies and stated that there are much more pressing safety issues that you need to handle on the day-to-day. This year, I reached out again requesting answers to my still unanswered questions, and a virtual town hall on the topic of safety was quickly scheduled. I am told in order to meet before the year's first practice drill, but this gave parents 4 days notice, many of whom did not know it was even happening or have adequate time to make arrangements to attend. I assumed it was scheduled because more information and resources had become available, but again, these topics were addressed broadly on a high level, and not once did the school acknowledge active shooters or information about how to talk to my child. I know that no parent, teacher, or administrator ever wants to believe this will happen in their community. The reality is that it can and it will, and I know it because I've lived it. If we have district administrators, especially one whose main responsibility is to ensure the safety and security of our children, who cannot acknowledge this reality or speak confidently and clearly about an active shooter scenario, we are failing our children. Just as my school failed me 20 years ago. It is baffling that 2 decades after the bullets of an AK-47 flew over my head just 10 minutes down the road, as I ran to hide in a locked classroom, I feel my children are no more safe than I was, and this school no more prepared than mine. No school thinks it will happen to them until it does. And the school district, even in the time since the virtual safety meeting, was extraordinarily lucky that last year's incident at Elkins Park and last week's security breach at the high school by the same individual did not end with tragedy and trauma that far too many school children and families have to endure in this country. Because we have lost confidence in this district, we have been touring other schools nearby, and we were relieved to hear other administrators and teachers answer our questions with specificity and ease. This perspective, combined with recent safety breaches, has validated my concerns and worst fears that this district is not prepared. I am not here tonight to give you my list of asks for the district, as I've already sent these over in great detail to Dr. Robinson, Dr. Scriven, and Dr. Savage. I am here tonight to ask you to please wake up, protect our children.
Thank you for that. I do have one question before you sit down. You alluded to the fact that your email, you never received a response.
I just received in this week,
Okay, I'll follow.
not in any detail.
Okay, we'll meet afterwards. I know I was a part of generating those responses. We did answer question by question, and I'll circle back.
Good evening. My name is Mark Jeremy Walls. I have a son at the high school. I have a son at EP, now Cedarbrook East. I have a son at Wingcote. I know many of you personally, and I applaud much of what you've done tonight and the actions before you. But I rise also because I'm terribly concerned about the situation at the high school. And it's not that it's that the communications don't get it. What you are telling us is that I'm getting all wet, but it's not raining. I need you to know that Uvalde was caused by a former student. I need you to know that Marjorie Stoneman Douglas was caused by a former student. I need you to know that Sandy Hook was caused by a former student. And so it is of no consequence that this is a student who is known to you. Our children are forced to go through lockdown drills, the traumatic act of lockdown drills in the event of an intruder. And you know what happened last week? There was an intruder. And it did not so much as warrant full communication to the district that there was an intruder in one of the district's buildings. It was downplayed. It was intentionally downplayed. And when we found out as a district, as you found out that there was a weapon involved, we were told as parents of a high schooler, I was fortunate enough to get that email, that it was a BB gun. Oh, it was a BB gun. You know, further investigation was a BB gun. You know, when I found out what that looked like, that it was a black Uzi looking gun from NBC 10. And the reason you have so many angry parents on Facebook and here in the community is because you don't recognize that reality and you're trying to downplay. And we can all tell that you're trying to downplay. And so I'm here to ask all of you elected representatives of us to hold the high school and the administration accountable. Say, this is serious. This is significant. We are hearing from people. They are speaking with passion because they are concerned for their children's safety. And when we talk to our high schoolers, they tell us these things. I don't feel safe. Oh, we have to badge in and badge out. Well, people can just walk past. Well, oh, I lost my badge a couple months ago, but I can still get into school. That Raptor system that you use when you have to check into a building, heck, I'm an attorney. I go to school districts all over the state. Every time I got to check in, I got to get my badge, got to get my name tag. They got to run me against the sex offender registry just to get into the building. It is meaningless if you let people flow in with the buses at the beginning of the day. It's meaningless. And so the platitudes about we're checking our security procedures, it's not enough. You need to take concrete action. You need to invest in security. You need to communicate to parents what you're going to do. But most of all, you have to take it seriously. You have to recognize that this was not, this was just a former student. This was a near miss. And we're lucky it's a near miss, but let's fix it.
Do we have any other comments?
Again, resident, this is not on the same topic. This is a different topic. I'm just.
But you're only allowed to give one comment, but you can email the school board.
I will,
So
yep.
yeah, email us and we will get your comment. Okay, thank you.
Are there new Arthur Brown? My son is at Glenside High School, elementary. Are there any new protocols of security? Are there any monitors of people getting on the bus? This is a wake-up call. In all these other communities where these tragedies have happened, they always say there's a history. Like he said, there's a former student. And fortunately for us, there are no thoughts and prayers that had to come out right now. We can take action to make sure that our community isn't one of the communities that this tragedy has happened to. I don't know, it was alarming that I heard this secondhand about this incident last week. And where I get notices when the school bus is late or about construction, I didn't get a notice about this incident. So it seems as though it's getting pushed under, and it's not, I don't want it to seem, it seems as though it should be on the top of the list, is my point. Our kids' safety. And you're the people who are in charge of that. So we're putting our kids' hands in your feet. And I would hope that we all take it serious. Thank you.
So as superintendent, I recognize that it all falls on me. Even though we work collaboratively as a team. I do take it extremely serious. And there are next steps that are in place. I understand the importance of transparency. We will communicate what the plan moving forward is as we're rolling it out. I will do district-wide communications that come from me moving forward because your voice has been heard tonight. And as I update the other actions, we will make sure that we're forthright in sharing that as well. We have another parent.
Yeah, my name is Max Stoynoff Williams. Also have a daughter at Glenside Elementary. We moved from South Philly. We drove around neighborhoods. We saw all the Black Lives Matter, the hate doesn't live here signs. It made us feel good. We bought that house. Can't be happier. Second chances don't happen often. You're getting one. You're getting a second chance to make sure it doesn't happen. And I just don't want you to, I don't want you, because I know I don't want to look back and think I could have done something extra. I could have done another thing. Because it'll haunt you. I've got regrets. I've got regrets I can't take back. And I'm going to die with them. I don't want to regret leaving my kid in this school district because I can't afford to go to another school. We came to another public school because I can't afford friends. You think I wouldn't take my daughter out there tomorrow and put her in friends if I couldn't? If I could? Don't make me regret it, and you don't want to regret it.
All right, thank you, everyone for your comments and they will be followed up on. Our future meetings are as listed on the agenda. Please make note of the meetings that have been moved from a Tuesday to a Wednesday. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Ms. Loman. All in favor, say aye.
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 The meeting is adjourned.
It was rough. Skillful. Yeah.